Hello and welcome to another edition of My Southern Exposure. Thank you all so much for continuing to watch our antics that we do on a weekly basis. Just to remind everybody, it is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. It is a pleasure to have you all watch once again. And I want to give a quick shout out to Black History Month as well as Valentine's Day. It's a twofer for the month of February. I'm not a really big fan on the fact that it's Black History Month and it's only 28 days. It's like that's the shortest month in the calendar, but I'm very thankful for it. And actually, Gayle King made a comment about that last week, and I was like, oh, that's a little interesting. I do want to say thank you to all the viewers and followers and subscribers, and I just want to say welcome once again, the most beautiful co-host on the planet,
Oh my
Raji Narayan Singh. It's a pleasure to be able to get some of your time on camera with your authorization for your use of your image, and we'll discuss that later.
Oh, okay. Well, hi everyone. Welcome back to another week of My Southern Exposure. This week it's getting down and dirty, and I'm going to actually expose. No, I'm going to actually expose the southern part of me now. I'm playing. Don't worry. Don't run. Don't turn off your computers. You don't have to worry about that. But we're going to get into some juicy topics as always. And I'm looking forward to doing that. And, just a reminder, leave your comments. I want to hear from you. Good comments, bad comments, in between comments, suggestions about what topics you'd like us to discuss on the show. Just comment. We want to hear from you. Okay.
How would someone get in contact with you if they wanted to do that?
Well, first of all, you can always comment under our videos, right, on Facebook. But you can also reach me personally, one-on-one. Personally, no, I'm playing. One-on-one. And you can email me at Raji at mySouthernExposure.site. And Joseph, are you enjoying that beer over there? I need to get naughty. I only have water. Oh my gosh.
Honey, you know what? I was trying to do good for a while and to break shit down on the real. When you started to let your mouth run that one time a while ago with the cussing, I'm like, oh, I guess it's okay. Well, why not? Let's cuss. And then I'm like, well, why do I have to have a coffee cup and refer to the coffee cup as my mystery drink? I'm like, you know what? I'm done. It's 2021. If you don't like it, I really don't freaking care. I really don't.
Fun, honey, and you're over 21, so you can drink, okay?
It is 5:30 somewhere, everywhere on the planet, every single minute of the day. So I'm going to continue to have my beer and drink responsibly, safely at home. And it kind of just keeps me calm. I don't excessively drink, but it does keep me calm, cool, and collected. So just 4 beers a day. And actually, some beers they actually have good herbs, spices, all that kind of stuff in them. So I'm not trying to tell people to drink or that it's healthy, but it definitely makes you keep calm.
Well, that's good.
So, well, you know what? I wasn't planning on jumping right into this topic, but I want to get it out of the way ahead of time. I saw a posting that you put up on your personal Facebook page.
Me.
I should say facial social media, and it was referring to this person by the name of 50 Pennies.
50 pennies.
Well, that's what I refer to him as, is
Yeah.
50 pennies. And I think it should possibly just go down to 1 penny instead. It should be 1 cent
What?
instead of the actual thing. So, number one, who the fuck does he think he is using your picture as like the bad one? And then what somebody turns into? Did he get authorization from you to use that photo?
No, he didn't. And he used my photo a few years back to diss Vivica A. Fox, the actress. And it was all over online. And oh my God, yeah. And so he did it again to Wendy Williams. Oh my God. And I don't even know what that was he used, but it was some troll looking thing. And he was insinuating that that's how she looks before she puts on her makeup. So, and a lot of people say that that I remind them of Wendy Williams because of the way that I act, sometimes. So I thought, oh, wow, me and Wendy Williams, we have 50 Cent shade in common now, right? Oh, my God, yeah. So I don't know. I felt kind of bad about it when he did it to me. And I didn't feel like I had much of a voice to like snap back. I snapped back the way I could, on my different social media and stuff, but I just didn't feel like I had an impact as much as an impact. But Vivica Fox, she chimed in. There were a few actresses in Hollywood that chimed in, and one, I forgot who it was, that said, they need to leave that sweet person alone, referring to me. But anyway, yeah.
No, there is no anyway, because he attacked you. That little 50 cents or 50 pennies or 5 nickels or 1 cent or whatever he wants to be called. And I know how much he's worth. So I'm doing the math in my head. How much can we sue for defamation of character and also do a cease and desist order?
Well, you know what's funny? When he did it to me, I thought, my God, this man doesn't know. Like he used me as a mockery. To use one of my pictures pre-surgery, and so he used one of like my I would say quote unquote ugly pictures, and so I thought to myself, God, this man doesn't know me. He doesn't know what I've been through. He doesn't know the good works that I'm doing in the world. And it was like, I just felt like, damn, but anyway, I mean, what could you do? I mean, I understand. Yeah, I guess I could have, but I don't have 50 million. He might be 50 cents, but he got 50 million. Me, on the other hand, so yeah.
Yeah, he's not 50 million. He used to be 130 million. Now he's down to 30. So
Ooh,
he's
it's going
yeah.
down. Wow.
Maybe bad decisions actually make your money disappear.
Yeah, and you know what? I think he could. If he has 30 million, that's still enough to give me about $1 million or two, right?
Girl, let me tell you, we will have a private conversation, and I am all over this. I'm all over it. I will be your 411 pain. I'm going to be your 411 pain because I don't like the fact that he used your image the first time. I don't like the fact that he used it a second time. I don't like the fact that he's doing it without your authorization. Like, if someone wants to do that, it's fine if they just ask you and reach out to you. Don't be snagging your shit and using it for something that's evil.
Yeah.
Like, use it for if you use it for something good, fine. but don't be using it for something that's going to like this and that from point A to point Z, and show like some kind of a picture in their head, in their 1 penny cent head, that you know he's got 30 pennies left or 30 million left or whatever. But seriously, all joking aside, 30 million, that ain't that much, really. Seriously, if you keep making mistakes, that's going to go from 30 down to 3, and then it goes down from 3 down to 30,000.
It sounds like he might be there having a little bit of a fit, 50 cents.
I think he is having it. I think he's having some problem making some change personally. So that's just, I just wanted to address that first off the top, because I don't care if you like me or not, 50 or 2 quarters or 5 nickels or 25 pennies or 50 pennies. So I don't appreciate you coming at my girl. So you better zip it, because there's a lot of other people out there that have more money than you, bro. And if you have money or not, it don't make no difference, because with the power of social media and the internet, our lives are infinite. And if you do bad things come back to bite you in your 50-cent ass. So anyways, let's push that off to the side. I just wanted to get into that, because I was ready to fight.
No, and thank you for bringing it up, because you know it is. Oh, see, I think he's next door to me right now, drilling 50 cents.
50 cent, 50 cent.
They're doing some work next door. They've been drilling and banging and all sorts of things. But yeah, no, thank you for bringing it up, because it did. I honestly, I mean, really, it did bother me when he initially did it. I was like, damn. Like, you know, I just felt like, okay, he's using me as a mockery, but does he know like the life that I have and like what I've done and like what I've been through and like who I am as a person? So anyway,
Yeah.
but
Well,
that's just what happens when you're out there publicly. That's the kind of things. Those are the kind of things that can happen. So next, what do you have to talk about next, baby?
well, I mean, okay, so the next, I mean, I got like 20 or 30 thoughts in my head, so I don't know which one to go with next, because I didn't give you like a list. I don't do that anymore, because I think it's more fun when we just do it this way.
Spontaneity.
Okay, so the next one that's going to ramble it into my head, which you kind of poked fun at in our candid conversation, because I want to start the show off kind of aggressive and then get light and then get into the drama, and then go back up. You know what I mean? Like a little crescendo. I love having our butterfly garden. And I talked with you briefly about this kooky idea that I had in my head.
Yeah.
About jewelry. Or I might have talked with somebody else. It might not have been about you. I think actually I might have had a conversation with our girlfriend, Victoria. You gave me the good side. She gave me the bad side.
Oh.
Or it was reverse. I don't remember which one, because there's like 7 people that I can be real with that I know. You know what I mean? So, because most people think that I'm batshit crazy, just generally speaking. They just think I'm like, I should probably be put in a rubber room. But I've been checked out by many doctors, many times. So I'm good. I'm clear. Thank you very much. But I had this idea of how beautiful the cocoon shape is from the chrysalis of a butterfly. And I thought that it would be really good to come up with a natural way to make something that looks just like it, that could be earrings for women or men. They could be shaped differently. If you want them more feminine looking, you can make them one way, another way, you can make them more masculine, whatever. But then inside of each little earring could be a written message, kind of like like a fortune cookie. But it would be like if I was buying earrings for you, I would say love, peace, blessings, happiness, prosperity, activism. And then one would be in each one. And then those earrings would go to you. And those would be actual earrings that are all naturally made. And then 98% of the profits would go to charity. 1% for the operation of the business, 1% for me. I mean, yeah, basically. And I don't think that's greedy. So, I mean, but I have, we've talked about this whole, are you kidding me right now? Karina, can you hear her? Can you hear her crying?
Yeah, I can. That's why I was joking earlier. I said, I wonder if 50 Cent is there moaning. But yeah.
You know what? You go ahead and talk for a second because I'm going to let her out in the backyard because my dog is so spoiled that she's distracting my little show. It's like all I need is 2 hours a week of like peace and quiet, and then that never happens. So just give me 1 second. She's like it's like someone's killing her right now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Take care of business. Yes, take care of business. So yeah, I don't know. That's interesting about the whole concept of like the cocoon and with the message in it. I think that's marketable. It's amazing the different things that you wouldn't necessarily think would be marketable, but end up being. And it's kind of a cute idea because the whole thing of like the butterfly is a cocoon in before it becomes a caterpillar into a cocoon, and then it becomes a beautiful butterfly. So that might be a cute idea to do. I've had so many. Whoa. I don't think they're very happy. I've had so many wonderful ideas, but a lot of time with the ideas, if you don't have the resources to help manifest, then unfortunately a lot of times they just go to the wayside, or someone else gets the idea and they run with it. So yeah, but I think that's a good idea. You had that dream actually. That was a dream you had.
Yeah. It was a dream.
Mhm.
It was a dream, and it was very specific, but whatever. I apologize that I missed what you said, but I'm going to watch it tomorrow when I download the show before I upload it. So I got a couple of questions for you because I want to talk about weather a little. I know it might sound a little strange to talk about weather, but we had our conversation. And I never thought about our candid conversations actually being a show, but I think they probably are, and we don't realize it. I'd love to put a helmet on you and me and have cameras and speakers on it, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Seriously. Like stuff that goes on. No, well, I don't want to see all the dirty bits. I don't want to see that stuff.
Well, honey, but oh my God, yeah, that would be a show. That would be a show. So anyway,
I mean, that's for your fans only, people, honey. I can't handle all that south of the border stuff going on. But I've lost my train of thought. Help me.
oh my God, then you were saying about our candid conversations and how they they really a trip the different things that we talk about and how they make a really good show. It probably would.
We were talking about weather. That's what it was. I got distracted for a second. And y'all have to forgive me. Don't forget, seriously, I fell off of a roof and landed on my head. So you gotta give me a little bit of slack.
Well, I didn't, so I don't know what kind of slack I'm gonna get, but anyway, yeah.
So my question for you is, don't you think that it's strange that we had what looked like a hurricane on the west coast of the United States that was swooping in, and then 3 days later, now it's a massive nor'easter or gigantic snowstorm? Like, how did it get from California to New York City within 2 days when we have a hurricane that just sits outside of Florida for like a week?
I know.
What do you think about that? I mean,
I tell you, this weather, you know that whole thing, they say don't mess with Mother Nature. You can't mess with Mother Nature. I mean, mother the weather and Mother Nature is powerful. And I mean, remember that tsunami in 2004, it killed over 200,000 people. I mean, people living their lives and then all of a sudden, boom, you know. So it's definitely a powerful thing. Now, I know there's people that say they think the weather's being controlled. And I don't know, maybe it is, maybe. Or maybe because of the things that we're doing, the weather is being affected. I can go with that more so. You know, the whole thing of like the global warming and like how we're treating our planet. And because of that, it's like a reaction. So like a domino effect type thing. But yeah, nothing to play with. And that is something to think about, because when a hurricane is coming towards us in the Caribbean, the Atlantic Ocean, it's like it takes days to get to us, but then yet in 2 days, this hurricane went from California all the way over to um, New York and turned into a nor'easter. So yeah, it is something to think about. I don't know. Sometimes it's like my mom's up north, and I called her today, and she's like, "I'm not going out. I'm staying in for the next few days." And I remember growing up and dealing with that crap. I mean, it's pretty to look at snow. It's pretty, but I would never want to deal with it anymore, especially after living here in sunny South Florida. So, but I know you, Joseph, you think it's more to it. You think there's someone controlling shit behind a computer.
I don't know. I don't know that it's that necessarily.
Hmm.
All I know is that something doesn't feel right. Like, I can feel that something doesn't feel natural. I mean, it sounds stupid to say it that way, possibly, or maybe I sound like an absolute idiot to some people. But I know that I can feel when things they don't jive. I don't know if that's a better word.
I
It
get it.
doesn't feel kosher. It doesn't feel kosher. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel right. But sometimes where people are like, well, you know, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. We all know that, and we've all been told that
Yeah.
our entire lives. But what if it doesn't? And the only reason why we see it is because what we've been told.
That's true. Well, I mean, listen, for the longest time, we human beings thought the planet was flat. So there you go, you know.
No, I know. And by the way, don't worry about that drilling in the background or the hammering, because actually it does not affect your audio at all. It actually just adds a little bit of a bump.
Oh, good.
Good.
Okay.
Very good. So they can go ahead and drill and drill and drill
Oh,
into you all day long.
well, let me tell you, it's giving me a headache. But anyway,
Oh, good Lord. Okay, so I do want to address the entire COVID thing. I know we've been having a lighthearted conversation this entire part, but I do want to share a personal story, actually 2 personal stories that are COVID related. And then also break down some basic numbers for people to understand how serious it is for Florida and also the United States and also basically the world. So one of my best friends from 25 years ago, his partner, his husband, got sick and died from COVID. And it was a matter of like less than a week from the beginning to the end. Healthy person, our age, not saying that we're young, but we're not old. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm old, even though I'm half of the way to 100. So I'm just saying, like, I think I'm pretty cool. I think I'm pretty jive. But someone in the 50s should not be dying, or 40s, late 40s, should not be dying from something like this so quickly. They were a wonderful couple. They've been together. I've known him for 25 years, like I stated. And that's the first person that I know of personally who has died from it. You know, because you've had it happen to you.
Yeah.
From someone that you know, someone similar. And I've been kind of not struggling with it, but just working through it. I don't know if you went through that when it happened with you, with your friend, but I've been working through like the reality of this. And consequently, actually, during the same, since last week, it's just taken like 7 days. But like 8 other people got the COVID shots 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago that I know of personally, not Googling somebody, actual people that that I know of. And then they got the second one, and they all had like complications that took a week for them to get over. So I know, because you and I talked about it. We're like, I said, the numbers. I don't know what numbers are right, what numbers are wrong. Like if someone says something's 100, I'm going to say, okay, let's like go halfway. Let's say 50, because maybe 50% of the data is right. 50% is wrong. 50% is right. So let's just go with 50 instead of the 100. But like the part that I'm having the problem with is like some people automatically believe what they're told. And I think it's part of a bigger systematic, pre-planned misunderstanding, confusion, propaganda.
Yeah.
That's what I personally believe. I think the last 4 years were talk about stuff, no one's going to listen, no one's going to believe, no one's going to do nothing, you can say whatever you want, no one's going to care. So that's the part that I'm having the problem with. Like after we've been listening for the last 4 years to all the bullshit, now actually listening to facts is what we're stuck with. And the facts are really fucking harsh. There's no other way to say it. Like it's like this. The numbers are going straight up. They're not going down. They're going straight up. We have problems with people who want to get a vaccine because, especially down here in Florida, they've given, I think they got 2 million vaccines and they've only actually administered 500,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like you got 2 million doses and you only put in 500,000. Like I'm not going to be the one who gets one, first of all. But what the fuck are you waiting for?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing across the entire United States, Raji. What do you think about that part? Because that's actually the part of my question. It took me a while to get there, and I apologize. And I apologize to you viewers at home as well. But what do you think about this whole vaccine rollout where there's millions of doses just out there, and not even like 1% of the doses that are out are in people right now.
Yeah, I think they're saying today on the news, I heard 8% of our population has been vaccinated. 8%. Oh my God, that's not looking too good. I mean, we live in a really big country, over 350 million people. So if only 8% has been vaccinated, I mean, it doesn't look really good. And that's the thing. You can see, it's one thing to develop the vaccine. It's another thing to logistically distribute it around this big country of ours. Because there's a lot of countries in the world that are like only the size of like one state of ours. We have a humongous country with lots and lots of people. So logistically trying to get the vaccine all around the country. And then the third thing is to get the vaccine into people's arms. Now, I have an aunt that went to get it yesterday. I haven't talked to her yet. I spoke with her on Sunday, and she said she was scheduled to go. She's in her 70s, because right now it's 65 or over, and essential workers. So we're not even in the loop yet, Joseph and I. But yeah, so I don't know. And then they said, I heard this, that by March, the prominent virus is going to be I think they said the UK variant, which is going to be the main virus going on here by March. So it is obviously spreading. And the thing about when you listen to the news and you hear like these many people died and these thousands of people died, it's a.
I apologize. Give me 1 second to put the microphone off.
I don't think he liked what I said very much. Thank God he's not here. Oh, barking at me and trying to bite me, honey. So yeah, the thing is with oh God, I lost my train of thought. The UK variant, yeah. So you watch the news and you're seeing, all these people dying, and that's a reality check enough. But when it really hits is when somebody that either in your family or a friend of a friend that lost somebody. Then it's like, oh my God, this shit is close. It's close. So yeah, definitely a reality check, big time. I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to keep pressing through. I mean, that's the only choice we have. Hopefully, as time goes on, Dr. Fauci was on the news yesterday, and he's saying that he's still hopeful that by June or the summer, June to summertime, there'll be some sort of herd immunity starting to happen. But we'll see. The jury is out. The jury is out.
I mean, I think the interesting thing about what you just mentioned is, well, first of all, my dog is a really big dog. You've met her before. I apologize to the listeners that are going to watch the show, but you know what? Shit happens when you work at home. And she's a very sweet dog, but when I'll share that story. I'll share that story later about her current false pregnancy that she thinks that she's going through. So she's a little bit more protective.
I cannot believe that they actually go through these false pregnancies. And you told me she has a darn Teddy play toy that she's thinking is her puppy. being so bad.
Yes, it's true. It's true. You can't make shit up like that. So, unfortunately,
How long does that last? Like a month, or what is the?
I don't know, because sometimes it takes a week, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, sometimes a month. I mean, it just depends on whenever she's okay.
Wow.
But I apologize to the people at home who had to listen to that loud barking while you were trying to talk. But I put my microphone on mute, and I believe everything is under control now.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so. She sounds like Cujo, but you know her.
Oh
The
yeah.
only thing she would do is jump on you and lick you from head to toe.
Yeah.
She's the biggest, sweetest dog on the face of the planet. But anyways, in reference to what Fauci said, because you bring up a really good point. First of all, I love the fact that Biden kept Fauci. That's the first thing.
Yeah, me too.
I love that he kept him because he's been doing a good job the entire time, from my perspective, I think. I feel bad for is it Deborah Birx? Is that the name? The lady?
Oh,
The lady, Deborah Birx, I think it was, Deborah Birx.
I think so. Yeah.
I feel bad for her because she was also part of the same team with Fauci, but then sometimes she just stood there and looked like a deer in headlights, and she didn't want to disagree, and she didn't want to say anything. So it looked basically like she was just complacent with like the last, year of shit that was going on. And Fauci was just like, no, I'm going to be Fauci. Put me in a Fauci. I'm Dr. Fauci. He basically was he didn't care about if he got fired. He didn't care about whatever's happening. He was just going to give the actual facts.
That's cool.
But for Deborah Birx, I feel bad. I saw a video, and actually, this is a good segue into Wendy Williams' video that you told me about earlier. That I feel bad for Deborah Birx because I felt like she was a sellout personally.
Mm-hmm.
Not dissimilar to that, I felt like Wendy Williams was a sellout, but for different reasons. But then when I watched the video, it came home to me. Well, it didn't come home. It just started to understand that Deborah went through so much, and she was trying to do the right thing, but she just didn't necessarily know the right thing to say or the right thing to do. And then that comes full circle with you and me, our private conversations that we have, where you re-explain to me on a regular basis about how important the words are that we say, because basically us doing our show is permanent. It's on the internet. It's never going to go away unless all information disappears, which that's highly unlikely, because 9 chances out of 10, I think the computers are already in charge of us. Personally, that's what I think. Because it doesn't seem like nobody knows what's going on. And it seems like, I remember back in high school, we were actually programming computers. We're like A, B, C, // dot, plus, negative sign, positive sign, just to make it go from here to there. We were doing computer programming back in 1980.
I remember that. Oh dear Lord.
You remember doing the same thing?
I do.
In computer class.
Yeah, I remember it. It's kind of like fuzzy, but I have like a memory of it. Yeah.
So that's my perspective on Dr. Fauci. I love that he's still there. Deborah Birx, I feel bad for because she thought she was doing something good. I think Fauci's estimate is a little optimistic, personally. I think it's going to take longer because of the economy being more important than people. What do you think about that? And what do you have to say about Wendy Williams? Because I mentioned her with her documentary that came out.
Yeah. So I saw her documentary on Saturday. I always watch Wendy Williams, so I was like, when I heard the documentary, not the sorry, the movie and the documentary was two. And so when I heard the movie and documentary were coming out, I was like, oh, I gotta watch. So the thing I have to say is, just like with you watching the video on Deborah Burke, I hope I said her name right. Is that you get an understanding of what a person has gone through or is going through, and so then you kind of can understand why the person might be doing what they're doing and acting the way they're acting. And so it's kind of like you see a person, you see them doing and reacting a certain way, but you don't know their backstory. You don't know what that person has been through. But then when you look at that, it's like, oh, okay. Now I understand why this person might do things the way they do. So yeah, so I think it's a real. It was great for me because I learned some stuff about Wendy I didn't know. She was raped in her early in her career by this one-hit wonder. At the time, he was like big on the radio, and he ended up raping her, and she had a baby. Well, she was pregnant by Eric B from Eric B and Rakim, the rap group, and from what she told, the relationship was really crappy, and she ended up having an abortion. And then, the thing with her husband, it was just so much. She had two 5 month miscarriages publicly, and she had one miscarriage, like early trimester, and then two 5 month miscarriages. And finally, she was able to have her son. Just a lot of things. So I say all of it to say that, I went on her kind of like her journey to like where she is now, and it helps me to understand her better. And I'm sure the same for you with Deborah Burr.
Actually, I have not been following Deborah Burks the entire time of her career, but I've been publicly critical of Wendy Williams numerous times. So just to make that clear, but girl, how you do? If you ever want to come to the show, I would love to have you on. How you do? But the part that I think is interesting, and I want to ask you, because you are, I think, from my perspective, much more of a diva and much more of a beautiful person than Wendy Williams. So
yeah, that's sweet.
But if you're out there doing a show that pokes fun at people, not like what we do, you know what I mean? Like if you're focusing on gossip and that's how you made all your money, even though you had a husband that took advantage of you and basically made most of the money and then gets a house right around the corner from you and then has a hooker living there. I mean, I'm just saying. But if you have a gossip show and you never release anything and you're talking about everybody else's stuff, I would have liked to have known when it was happening, what was going on. Like what we do, we share our personal stories all the time, everything.
She did a little bit of that with like her miscarriages because she was in Philly on the radio then, and she like was publicly, 5 months she was pregnant. The people knew, and then she lost the baby, so she kind of had to be public about those things. What she did actually was a bit of I would say trailblazing in the sense that she took what they were already doing in the tabloids, like, People Magazine and all the different tabloids back in the 80s and 90s that were out. and she took it to radio. And she was doing what they were doing, but just doing it on the radio. And what ended up happening is eventually every single market around the country had a Wendy Williams look-alike or copycat because it was selling so well. Yeah, here in South Florida, it's Jill Tracy with the 411, um, which she was back on, and she was in the 90s, and she's still on radio now, but that was like that's like a spin-off of Wendy Williams for our South Florida market. So Wendy was saying, that it ended up her thing that she took the radio and kind of made it her own ended up being so popular that they were copying her all around the country in different markets. And so yeah. So you know what? She basically made a career out of dissing people and gossiping about people. Yeah, she did. And in one sense, she was very smart and innovative to even think about doing that because she just took what they were already doing in magazines and brought it to radio. On the flip side of it, if you can dish it, you better be able to eat it. So like she didn't like when people were out gossiping about her, but the reality is she was doing it, making millions. So hey, what's good for the geese is good for the gander, and so she's got to. In other words, she had to put on her big girl panties and
Yeah.
take it because she
Yeah.
was dishing it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But the end result of the video was that it was good. You liked it. You would suggest for people to watch it.
Oh, I thought it was good. Yeah, and I think I would suggest anyone that's a Wendy Williams viewer, fan, follower, viewer. You might not be like a fan, but you just watch her show. I would suggest any of those people to watch it because you'll get a better understanding of her journey and what she's been through. Yeah.
Well, she's been around for a long time. That's for sure.
She has hustle game.
Just like both of us, we've been around for a long ass time.
Honey, I ain't no spring chicken, honey. I ain't spring chicken.
All right, so let me move on to something completely obscure because it just popped in my head. Okay, so Tom Brady is playing football with this other guy in Tampa. I can't remember the other guy's name.
Carl Mahone or something like that.
Yes.
I just remember his name because I kind of like.
You know what? And actually, that's the reason why I said my name. I was waiting for you to say the other one because I already knew.
Yes, honey. He's nice and swirly, honey. That's like my type.
And he's like 22, 24.
Oh, honey, and he's young and has a nice strong back. Let me stop. But yeah, he's a cutie pie from head to toe.
But okay, so then what do you have to say about them having 22,000 people in the stadium?
Well, I'd like to tell.
But I'm gonna finish this because it's 22,000 actual people are going to be in the stadium, and then the part that makes me happy with it is that there's cutouts of people all across the entire United States that they made that all the money is going to charity.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
What do you think about the fact of them even doing it? Because I don't think it's smart at all to even do it.
This is an example of how money drives a lot of things. And we all know that the football industry, the NFL, is a big money generator. I mean, it's a machine. It's a money machine. And so COVID, honey, or no COVID, this shit was going to go on, okay? They could not take it. I think last year they canceled the season for a little bit, but then it was like, oh hell no, we got to get this machine going again because so many people love football and that whole and all sports for that matter. But the NFL is a big moneymaker. The same thing with the basketball too. But yeah, so the NBA. So it doesn't surprise me. I am a little concerned about it. And I think when Carl comes home tonight and we're laying in bed, I'm going to discuss it with him because it's concerning me a little bit. Oh, and then I woke up. And then I woke up. But no, I am a little concerned about it. What is interesting, though, is how this whole COVID thing has made people become quite innovative and think of different ways to still carry on and make things happen, like Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras, that's going to happen in a few weeks, is not going to be the typical Mardi Gras in New Orleans. What they're doing is people are decorating their houses instead of having like the floats with all of the costumes and all. People are doing competition with the decorations of their homes, which I think is fabulous. Another example, Girl Scout cookies. The Girl Scouts have gone online. They're doing all their sales virtually online, and they are making a killing. I think it was on Good Morning America like 2 days ago. They've sold this one particular troop has sold like $400,000 worth. I mean, they're making a killing. They're making a killing.
I do have a question because I thought that the Girl Scout cookies are gonna have a brand new cookie called Bragi-licious.
Oh, honey, and it's gonna be delicious, honey. And it's gonna have cream filling in the middle, and it's gonna be like cafe con leche on the outside, not too chocolate, not too white, just kind of like a swirly in between, and it's gonna have some nuts sprinkled on the top. Oh, and when you bite into it, it's gonna squirt, and it's just gonna be so good.
Which one is your favorite?
Oh my god, I can't wait. I ordered some. And my mouth is watering. I want the short bread ones. They're coming my way. And also the mimosas or the samosas. The samosas. Short bread and samosas.
My favorite is the Thin Mint.
I know the Thin Mint.
I don't know why, but I've always loved the Thin Mint, and that's always been my favorite. And I will eat an entire box of fucking Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies, in one setting. I will eat the whole box.
I can't wait. I am hungry.
I know that's not good though, right? Because you're only supposed to have like 3 or 4, right?
Let me tell you, yesterday I pretty much ate a whole thing of Pringles. The barbecue wavy one. I ate the whole can. Okay, so anyway.
Sometimes you got to be wavy. You got to be a little wavy sometimes. You got to eat those barbecue Pringles. Yeah. Sometimes you got to eat those. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about or ask you about is in reference to all of the roundup, because we have 2 roundups going on. So I don't know if I don't remember his name. It's kind of similar to Chernobyl, but it's not Chernobyl. The Russian guy that they tried to kill, and then he went to Germany, and then now he's back, and then now there were all these riots.
I'm surprised he went back. They arrested.
Why would he? Why did he?
I don't know if he really feels like he wants to stir it up politically there and create some sort of like civil war, because soon as he got off the plane, they arrested him. Soon as he got off the plane, they arrested him in the airport. So he
Did he ever actually run for? Did he ever actually run against the dictator, the other guy?
that I'm not sure, but they always call him the opposition, the political
Right.
opposition. So he probably did. He probably did. Or if he didn't, he was building up to run against him. And let me tell you, he strategically went back to Russia. He knew that they were going to arrest him as soon as he got off the plane. I mean, come on, they tried to kill his ass. And so he did that. But I think he's doing it, honestly, I think he's doing it as a
From his heart. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you.
I really do, because going back and risking your life, because that's what he's doing. If they poisoned him one time, who's to say they're not going to do it again? And those motherfuckers, oh, I get so angry. Oh, we had nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, it was some Russian agent chemical thing that's only made in Russia, and the poison happened in freaking Siberia. Come on, the government is behind it. They were trying to kill his ass, and the thing is, he knows that, but he still went back there, and I think he's trying to do this as a statement to get the Russian people to rise up, because that's a fucking dictator. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a dictatorship.
It's okay. We don't have to worry about cussing, because I've given up on that. Every show is no longer referred to children, because I have to hit that little button. Is this age appropriate? I say no. I have to hit the no button.
I can't help myself. When I get passionate, I have to start cussing like a sailor. Oh my!
And we don't have no rules. We don't need. I mean, we got our own website. We have our own videos that go right to the website. You don't have to go to Facebook. You don't have to go to YouTube. You can go directly to the website and download it and watch the video. And by the way, if you are at home and interested in working safely from home, do not forget to email us. That's work@mysouthernexposure.site. Work@mysouthernexposure.site. And if you are interested in advertising so that Raji Licious can go ahead and do your ad live on our show, that would be Raji at mysoulexposure.site. And if you want some uptight Puerto Rican that's overweight and old, you can email me, Joseph, at mysoulexposure.site. But most importantly, do not forget to visit us. And if you go to the website, please subscribe. If you go to Facebook, subscribe. If you go to YouTube, subscribe. And we're doing the best that we can to get through everything that's going on, to give you good information safely at home and try to be entertaining, even though some of the information is difficult to listen to. So
I thought someone was just trying to email us, but I was wrong. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to get excited if that was the case, because I don't look at the phone no more. It's off to the side. If someone didn't already email ahead of time, and once I get this, don't even get me started. Don't get me started with this technology over here. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about which company that has taken a lot of my time since last year to try to make my stuff work properly, and I cannot even connect my laptop to the dedicated fiber. I'm not going to even say the name of the company. But it's a very
well-known company.
It's a very well-known company, and actually one of the most expensive ones. Anyways, so apparently now I have like 6 or 7 people that are all contacting me trying to figure out how to make it work. So once it is fixed, then we'll be able to have our real show. Like with multiple people, and we won't look like Max Headroom anymore. And I want to thank the viewers at home for being so patient and continuing to watch us. We're getting close to that 90,000 mark, so that's good. Once we get over that 100,000 mark, that'll be. We're gonna have a date. You're gonna have to come out to the backyard. And we're gonna have to have a champagne toast or something. Once we get to that 100,000 viewers, I know that you're used to this kind of attention, but I'm not. And maybe the only reason why I am getting the attention is because of you. But you're used to having 155,000 people.
You have a following, honey.
But I'm just saying, it's a big deal to me. It's a really big deal to me, and I appreciate everybody who's been part of it. Ricky, you, every single person who's been part of anything to help us. Like, I'm happy for FPL. I mean, seriously, because I still have lights on. I mean, I know it sounds kind of silly, but I'm just saying, like, I'm happy for every little piece of this little teeny tiny puzzle. And I know I'm a little drop in a wine glass, but I know that what we're doing every single episode and every single time that we're on is that we're coming into people's homes all across the entire United States, all around the world. And if we did it today, tomorrow, the next day, it doesn't make any difference. It could be 100 years from now that our conversation that we're having right now, 100 years from now, someone might listen to it.
That's right.
And it might get to that person. And we might just be telling that person exactly what they needed to hear about how beautiful they are.
That's how I look at things. I really do look at things that way. I'm like, when you put stuff out there, especially with the internet now, this will be in eternal internet land. And you never know who's going to click on your video 50 years from now and need to hear whatever message in that moment. So that is so true.
And you know what? Actually, I have a personal story to share, because we had an episode, I think maybe 4 or 5 episodes ago. I think it was last season. I talked about, and I shared a story about someone that I knew that was having a problem, that had a problem with the school, trying to be hard on them and sent child protective services to their house. Ironically, another person that I know in a complete different state happened to watch that show, and she shared almost the exact same story.
Wow. Wow.
2 complete different states, 2 complete different people,
Yeah.
2 absolutely beautiful mothers with beautiful kids, both had the same thing happen. So, like, when we talk about like numbers and this and that sometimes, because that's why I'm trying to be a little casual. Like, I'm wearing a t-shirt again. I don't usually wear t-shirts, you know that. I'm a little uptight. So, I mean, I'm trying to be like chill and cool to like vibe, or Twitters and tweets and Snapchat chaps, or whatever the things are, like the rest of the people do. But I'm trying to help people at home understand that what we talk about on our show are mostly our personal experiences. We're not just pulling titles from the headlines. We're using our personal stories, and we're sharing those things on a weekly basis. Things that affect us, things that inspire us, things that make us upset, things that make us happy, things that make us proud, things that we want to share. Like, all of those kind of things are important, because some people are so used to just swiping right or swiping left and looking at their phone the entire time. Sometimes, all you got to do, just pick up an old-fashioned rotary dial telephone, just like this one, Plain old fashioned rotary dial telephone. Talk to somebody on a regular landline, or talk to somebody in person, or send them a letter in the mail, like a handwritten letter. Send it to them in the mail. What do you think about that part, Raj? That whole thing? Because I mean, our show is a virtual show, but what do you think about how do you balance that with reality?
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the unique things about our show, is that we do talk about current events. We do talk about things happening in the world, entertainment, et cetera, et cetera. But we also talk a lot about our lives and even how these things happening in the world, it impacts the lives that we have. So yeah, very much so. I think that that's a big thing about our show. And it's funny, the personal touch is so powerful. I love this technology. I love it. I'm able to do so much with it. But let me tell you something. I will take time and send someone a card or send someone, a packet. And Christmas time is a good time that for me, especially when I do that. Oh, yeah. You're pointing to my card. Yeah, that because it's that personal touch that really make people feel good. I know when I receive a card, and even if sometimes I'll think about someone and I'm like, oh, let me get a box of chocolates and send them a card. And it's not a lot of money, but that little gesture it just means the world to someone. And so I think it's important for us, despite all of the wonderful technology, because it's good and we can use it to do some phenomenal things. But I think everyone should never lose sight of the personal touch and taking the time to pick up the phone and call someone or write a card or a little note and mail someone. Those are those are really nice personal touches you can use to connect with someone.
And actually, you know what you just said brings me back to another part of my story that I forgot to share. Just down the street, the house probably. It's a brand new construction. I know the person who owns the property. I won't say the name of the company that owns it, but they built a brand new townhouse, two townhouses right next to each other. And it's been like 6 months, 8 months that they've been working on it. And every time I drive by, I just kind of look and I wave. And to be quite frank, part of the reason why I wave is because the guy wears really super tight jeans and he's really super sexy and young looking. So I feel a little bad saying that out loud because I have a partner that I love, and I would never do anything with him, no matter anything. But at some point, I was like, I started to think about him as a person, as opposed to me just driving past him. And he wasn't around for like a month. And I was concerned about where he was. There's like 2 months where he wasn't around. No one was around. Nothing was being done at the property. And 2 weeks ago, I started to see him come back around. I was like, hey, how's everything going? He said, everything's going good. We're getting close to done. And then, just yesterday, ironically, I pulled over and I'm on the right side of the road. He's 15 or 20 feet away. And I asked him how he's doing and how his family was. But I did not ask that question the first time, which I should have. I should have asked him how he and his family is. Because I do that with you and I do that with everybody else that I know personally. But sometimes you need to do that even though it doesn't feel like it's necessary. Like I asked him how he and his family are. Is that a sexy man walking by? Because I can see your eyes looking, you're staring at something. You're staring something down.
There's workers next door and there's a bunch of them that just walked by. So it got my attention, but there's women too mixed in. It was just a group going. I was just wondering what was going on outside, but yeah.
One must have looked good though, because it looked like you were ready to drool.
Oh, I guess
It
maybe
did.
I could probably go with one of them, maybe. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you. Speaking of that, you know what I try and do? Because yeah, if someone's cute and sexy, yeah, you know you're gonna want to you're gonna be more apt to want to say hi and speak. Um, but you know, I make it an effort now when I pass old people in the market or if I'm out, I try to make contact with them and say hello. Because you know what I notice people do? They ignore old people. Because you know what? When someone's old, it's almost like in this culture, not in all cultures, but I notice like they become irrelevant. And you know, I think, my God, this is just me. Like I start thinking, I see these older people walking, and these are people that had like whole dynamic lives, and you know, had families or have families and friends, and have contributed to society. And you know, there are elders, and you know, I used to do it too. I would see an old person and just like walk straight ahead, and you know, sometimes I speak and they won't really speak back, but other times they will. It's like, you know, I'll say hi, you know, I'll nod my head, and they'll like say, "Oh, hello," you know, and it's almost brings like a little sadness to my heart because I think, God, like you know, they kind of get used to being ignored, and what made me really cognizant of that is one of my friends. Was she's in her 60s, and she had shared with me that she had to get used to like as like she got into her 50s, and as the years were going and she was getting into her 60s, she had to get used to not getting the attention from guys anymore. And what are you looking at outside the window?
Just the car leaving. That's just the car leaving.
Yeah, okay. So we're both looking outside the window. No, but yeah, so you know, she said she had to get used to not men not paying attention to her anymore. Because you know, like before, you know, when you're sexy and attractive, oh, they want to hold the door for you, or they want to like they'll flirt a little or say hello and that sort of thing. And she says all of that slowly died as she became older and not as attractive. So I that really got me to thinking, and I was like, no, 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 no. You know, it's if I'm gonna say hi to a cute 20-year-old, I could say hi to an 80-year-old. You know, if I call myself, if I'm sitting here saying, oh, I just want to be kind and loving to people, well, not selectively. I'm not going to do that because this guy's fine with a nice body and fuck the 80-year-old, you know? So, you know, I think we have to really be cognizant and really check ourselves, like the reasons why we do things and what, you know, like is there a motivation behind it, or like is there an incentive behind it? Are you being kind just to be kind? Are you being kind to get something? Because you know but it can get really really deep, and when you start to break things down, the fact is being kind is great, but I'm just saying, like, you want to kind of like you want to make sure it's coming from a pure place, you know. And so that's I put I always check myself. I always do that to myself. When I do something, I question, like, wait a minute, why am I doing it? Like, and sometimes I have an ulterior motive, at least I'm honest about it. At least I'm honest about it. Okay, but yeah. So anyway.
Oh, good Lord. That's hysterical. I mean, first of all, just to clarify, the reason why I was looking out the window was because our girlfriend, Victoria, who you have met, was just leaving. That's part of the reason why the dogs went ape shit earlier, barking because she was here. So I was not looking at the fine man walking by my window, and she's already left. But in reference to that, you bring up a good point, because I was just driving past the person all the time and never paid attention. That was kind of my point of the story, is you just drive past and you wave. You don't really talk to somebody. And then it takes some time to build up to that. And then having 1, 3, 4, 5 conversations, and then finally pulling over and asking the right question.
Yeah.
About how are you and your family.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And it's interesting that you brought this topic up, because this past Sunday I signed on to listen to my minister for our spiritual service, and he was talking about kindness. And he was saying that being kind can be simple gestures, like holding the door for someone, smiling at someone, or nodding at them, blessing someone without them even knowing. Like, I do this sometimes. I'll be driving down the street and I'll see someone and I'll just say, "Oh, God bless them," or and they don't know I did that, but like, I did it, in my consciousness. I did it. So there's different ways of being kind, and I think in the world that we're living in today, with everything that's going on, it's an important thing to tap into and to exercise.
And just making a simple phone call to somebody or a text message. Something as simple as that. A phone call, text message, email, a letter in the mail. I mean, anything at this point. I mean, it is. And unfortunately, the COVID numbers are just skyrocketing. I don't want to get into all the specifics. I kind of referenced it before, but for the state of Florida, it's someone's dying every 15 minutes.
That's crazy. I mean, even the thought of that is, and then even the statistic about nationwide, someone dying every
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
I don't know if that's still happening, but I know that was last week. I know.
No, it is. It's actually less than that now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the numbers have gotten worse.
Oh.
So, it's gonna, I mean, I don't want to candy coat shit and make people think that everything is, gumdrops and rainbows.
Yeah.
When they watch the show. I mean, seriously. We talk about some really heavy topics, and I just want to address them, and then we can move on to something that's better. But the fact is that you have to acknowledge the problem or the situation, and then everyone can figure out how to deal with it in their own head. And it takes time. But we can't not talk about it, because if you don't talk about it, it doesn't make it just go away. Just like the next topic that I'm going to bring up, I mean, it's 400 years in the making. So, but with this current problem that we have in the United States, having somebody die every 15 to 10 minutes in the state of Florida, having somebody die every 30 seconds to 25 seconds in the entire United States on a regular basis, and it's continuing to increase, whether it's microwaves, radiation, cancer, 5G, 4G, toxins in the body, whatever the thing is, the weaknesses that are in people's bodies are being targeted by this specific virus for some reason. None of us know. I just wish someone would come out and say, I don't fucking know what's going on. I've had this conversation with you before, and I just really want to just break it down on the real. why doesn't somebody just come out and say, no one fucking knows what's going on?
Because what would happen is it would cause mayhem.
Why?
I think it would cause mayhem. Like, people want to know that, they want to believe that things are under control, and for our leaders to come out and just say we don't fucking know, people would get crazy over that. It's like if you're a leader, and it's also expected that a leader wouldn't just come out and say that. They would come out and say, well, we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to get a handle on the problem. But the first thing people would say if a leader came out and said, I don't fucking know, is, well, then you don't need to be a fucking leader and you need to fucking do something about it. People can't, that are in leadership positions, they can't, if they come out saying that statement, I think it would cause a lot of problems. They have to kind of go around the bush and do this. They don't have to. They can come out and say, I don't fucking know. But I think that what would then happen is they would get a lot of backlash for that. They would.
Well, but I mean, okay, but I mean, let's be serious about it though. With like the numbers and all the stuff that's going on. Let's say half of the numbers are right, half of the numbers are wrong. So instead of it being 500,000 people that are dead, it's 250,000 people that are dead. Instead of it being, every 30 seconds, it's 1 minute someone's dying. Instead of it being every 15 minutes or 10 minutes, it's every 20 minutes someone's dying in Florida. I mean, just using those as examples. You know what I mean? So personally, I think as a human being, I don't even know if I'm a human being at this point, to be honest with you, because I really do not relate to most human beings at all on the planet, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. And I can acknowledge that. But the fact is, like, why can't people seem to understand, like, the bad and the good, and that there's a balance between both? And everything isn't always good and everything isn't always bad, and there's like a balance.
Well, there is a balance, but what it is, I think, okay, so there's people that walk around oblivious, like, with their head in the sand, and they just don't even want to look at the things that are going on that are bad. There's those type of people. Then there's people like, I think, myself, that I know the bad that's going on. I know it's a lot of bad going on, but I also know about the law of attraction and how the universal laws work and how you get what you focus on. Mm-hmm. So I'm that type of person. Like, I acknowledge and know the shit's going on, but that's not going to be my focus. My focus is the positive, because that's what I want to receive. That's right. What I'm trying to manifest in my life. So that's why my focus is going to lean towards the positive things going on as opposed to the negative. But if you're walking around oblivious, I don't know if you're doing a service. I think you may be doing a disservice to yourself, because you need to know what the fuck's going on in the world, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's for sure. But yeah, so that's where I stand on that.
I mean, okay, so in reference to that then, what do you think? I mean, oh, Jesus, I didn't plan for that question. So, like, because you say stuff to me right in the show, and then you make me think about something that I didn't plan on talking about, so it catches me off guard. I'm happy that we do this, because I'm sure other people are thinking the exact same thing. You know what I mean? So that's good. But do you think there's like some kind of ulterior motive out there to make people purposefully sick and hurt people and keep them like in poverty?
Yes.
Or or disease.
Pretty Ricky.
She heard you say yes.
Yes.
That's that voice you hear every once in a while, Ricky, because he sits down and he's 10 feet away from me. And one of these times you're going to get to see Pretty Ricky. And he is so pretty, it'll make you all weak at your knees.
I get so
But do you think that there's actually like an ulterior motive? Like in the big picture of things?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that have been set up ahead of time.
Yeah.
Prior to us being here that are like set up for failure.
Well, I think that's the big question because there's so much crap going on in the world. And when you hear stuff like the North Korean leader poisoning his brother, his half brother in the airport, or the guy in Russia being poisoned by the Russian government, you hear stuff like that. You hear about the Epstein child pornography crap. Yeah, there's bad people in the world doing bad things with bad arterial motives.
Do you think that there's so much of that that's already in place that it's not fixable?
No, I wouldn't say it's not fixable. I think that there's always been a tug of war between good and evil, because just as it's these bad people in the world doing these bad things, there are good people in the world doing good things too. And so I think there's always been like this tug of war. And so I don't know if it'll ever not be bad stuff. And then, then you start breaking it down, like, for without the bad, would we know what the good is? And, like it's kind of like that yin and yang and how everything kind of works together in a way. But yeah, I'm sure there's people out there strategizing to do bad things. An example of that would be these freaking viruses that these computer geeks create purposely to fuck up people's computers, okay? I mean, and that's purposely done by smart, intelligent people that want to do something to create havoc, okay?
Well, actually, you know what the funny thing is? I wanted to call you to talk about your car warranty.
Oh. I get so... Really?
How many of those phone calls do you get a day about your car warranty?
Oh, my God. Oh, probably like 3 or 4. Hello.
Okay, so you know what? This is my official plea because Ricky, my partner, wanted me. He said something about it. I'm like, I'm gonna bring it up if it comes up in a conversation. Joseph R. Biden and Kamala Harris, could you please stop people calling about car warranties? Please push through whatever legislation that needs to be done to make those people stop calling people. We're all getting bombarded. All right, I'm sorry. That's done. That was my PSA. That was my public service announcement for this episode.
So, like I said, I think this tug of war between good and bad and good. And, there's good people in the world working on good things and creating good things. So that's just that's what our existence has been. And I don't know, it probably will always be that way on some level. This tug of war and like the good versus the evil. And then again, where do you put your focus as a person and what are you attracting into your life and where does your energy go? Because isn't really life all relative? Like the way you view a particular thing and the way you interpret it. 10 people can read the same paragraph and everyone walk away with a slightly different message, So it's it gets deep.
That is tricky. And actually, you brought up a show or a video. I think you talked about it earlier. And I wanted to talk about a video that I saw also as well. Do you want to go with yours first, or do you want me to go with mine?
Yeah, you go. You go. That's fine. I've been talking a lot.
Ah, okay. So I was hoping that you would go first so I could remember the name of the video because my mind is a little forgetful. But it's actually a movie that I saw, or I should say a mini series.
Okay.
And it specifically talks about technology and what's going on now and everything else. I can't remember the name of it. I told you the name of it the other day when we talked on the phone.
The Social Dilemma. Is that what you're talking about?
No, not that one. A different one, because that's the one that you like.
Yeah.
That's the one that, and I haven't seen that one, by the way, so I feel bad that I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to do the best that I can. Miss Raji-licious as you chew the gum or whatever that is, smacking your chops. There was,
It's a mint.
It's a mint.
Yeah.
It was a really good movie, though, because it talked about everything that's going on right now. And I can't remember the name of it right now. And I probably will after I'm done rambling on for a while and you start to talk. Then it'll pop up in my head because that's what happens when you fall off a roof. Sometimes you can't remember your stuff. But the basic premise was that technology is good to a certain point. And then technology is bad if you allow it to be. And there's a lot of movies out there like that. And we've actually been seeing those kinds of movies our entire lives, especially you and me. We're the same age, you know what I mean? So our entire lives, like Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Terminator 3, Aliens 1, Aliens 2, Aliens 3, whatever. I mean, there's so many different movies. And the part that I find strange about it is it seems like they've been telling us and warning us about all this stuff this entire time, and no one's fucking listening.
No.
What was the movie that you wanted to share?
Well, I shared about Social Dilemma last week, if I'm not mistaken. But
no, there was another one that you just saw. The Wendy Williams one.
Oh yeah, the Wendy Williams one. Yeah, that was on Lifetime. But I don't know if I mentioned White Lion too. That was a good one on Netflix. It's an Indian movie with Priyanka Chopra. It is so good. It kind of has a Slumdog Millionaire feel, and it really gets you to thinking about the rich and the poor. It's called White Lion. Well, sorry, not White Lion. White Tiger. White Tiger. And it's really, really good. I recommend that movie. It's on Netflix. White Tiger, and it talks about the rich and the poor, and like the dominance of the rich over the poor, not only economically but mentally. And it's so good. The movie is, I would say, a 10, 9, 10. Yeah.
Well, I mean, actually, you bring up another thing that jogged me back to a thought that I had like 30 minutes ago. You're talking about the rich and the poor part. From what I understand, some of this vaccine rollout that's come out, some zip codes where people that are more wealthy, there's more vaccines available. And then the ones that are not, they're not available. Have you noticed that or not?
Well, they talked about the racial, ethnic aspect of it, how whites are getting the most vaccinated. Second would be African Americans. Third are Latinos, and fourth are Asians, which I was surprised. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just you start to question, like, with healthcare and like resources, who gets to get them first, and that sort of thing. And a lot of times it's the people that are in um, a higher social economical status that has access to the resources before the poor people do.
What do you think about basically it being, I think, 36% of the healthcare force do not want to get the vaccine at all?
Yeah, I think what it is people are fearful because this vaccine was developed in less than a year. Normally, a vaccine takes, what, 5 to 10 years to develop. And so it was quick, it was done quickly. There have been some people that have had reactions. So I think that's another thing that's fearful for some people. And so I what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at like statistics, and let's say 10,000 people had the vaccine. If only 100 have had reactions, then to me the odds are, well, I can probably take a chance. As opposed to like if it's 500 that had reactions, then I'd be like, oh shit, this is a 50-50 thing now. But so that's what I'm kind of looking at. And, I'll decide within the next couple months whether I'm going to get it. I'm pretty sure I will. I know you're not. I know that.
No, I'm not. That's not going to happen. I'll never get the vaccine. That's for sure. But the part that I find that's interesting is that every single drug that people are taking right now, it mentions and states, especially the ones that are on the TV, they mention and state the fact if you are planning to take a vaccine, that you should consult your physician because of the drug that you're on. Every single ad that's on TV. It's not just one, every single one. So does that mean that if you are currently taking medication, you can't take a vaccine? Because that's what it feels like to me. Because every single ad mentions it. If you're planning to take a vaccine, you have to notify your physician because of possible complications. Well, so for the most part, every person in the United States is on some kind of a drug, except for me and Rick and a handful of people.
Well, I take a number of medications, and 2 weeks ago, I had my shingles booster. Last month, I had my flu shot. Excuse me, speaking of flu.
That's funny, actually. That's hysterical. As you're talking about the flu shot, you sneeze.
I sneeze. Last month, I had my flu shot, and I also had my pneumonia shot, like last year sometime. So I've been fine. Let me knock on some wood. I've been fine. Yeah, right there, right? I've been fine so far. So yeah, I don't know. I think everyone is different. It's case by case. And if you have questions about it, you should refer to your doctor. You should consult your physician.
Yeah. What do you think about the long-term effects of something that's brand new like this?
I know. That's a good point. The jury is out. And the only way we're going to find out is like years are going to have to go by. And so, yeah, that's a very, very, very valid point you make, because there have been drugs in the history of the world that the FDA and other drug organizations have recalled because of the long-term effects. So yeah, I don't know. The jury is out on that one. You're right.
I mean, do you think that it's a little strange? I'm putting this out because we talked about it privately, and I'm just going to reiterate it with you. And I jokingly referred to some of our private conversations turning into the show, but our private conversations are pretty much a show.
Yeah.
They're like a kind of like a dry rehearsal. I never thought of it that way, but and I think we could probably have like 7 shows a week because we talk every single day for at least an hour almost.
Yeah.
Which for the listeners at home, I feel very blessed to be able to talk with her on the phone for so long. And for those that are jealous, sorry, I'm just really cute and I'm very charismatic, so get over it. But in reference to that, my concern is for the drug itself, but then also I'm concerned with what's going on with it. Like they're putting it in people's arms and doing what's necessary. And something that's odd to me, like really odd, is I've never heard of anyone getting a flu shot having to sit off to the side for 30 minutes to 40 minutes while they watch you.
I know. You know what I think? I think because they did the trial so quickly that they have that doubt, like, oh boy, like is some, as far as like the reaction and how people are going to react to it. So I think because people there have been a few bad reactions that they don't want to take any chances now. So they're having people stay for a half hour or so. But you do wonder about that. Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I didn't even realize there was a pneumonia shot until you just said it. Yeah. I had no idea. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing until you just like, I'm like, okay, that's new. I just scribbled it down. I'm like, oh, there is a pneumonia shot. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me, but because they're making people purposefully sit off to the side for 30 to 45 minutes, it makes me even more suspect with the whole situation. Mm-hmm. Like you can go into a CVS or a Walgreens or wherever, get your flu shot, you're done, you're out of there, you leave, done. You don't have to sit there for 30 minutes. That's just, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that now we're thinking that is normal. So they can just push through the drugs within a year instead of 10 years.
And you know what's
so is that the new thing that now it's okay? So we're just gonna use the monkeys, all of us people, not black, white, doesn't make no difference. So like we're like, or I should say guinea pigs. Where they're gonna use all of us guinea pigs to just test shit out from now on. Is that like the new thing?
Yeah. Well, another thing is who says it has to take 10 years? I mean, with all that technology, but it is kind of something how it went from 10 to less than a year. Maybe like, you think like it would be a gradual, like from 10 to 5, or 10,
right.
10 to 7, and then maybe 4. But this.
Yes. Yes. I would have been comfortable if it went like that.
Yeah. I know. And then, another interesting thing, they featured Wuhan, China this week on the news. And those people are back to normal, honey. Those people are like, they are having parades and all out in the street and no mask and everything. And this is where the virus started, supposedly. So now you wonder, like, okay, the rest of the world now is infected, but these people in Wuhan are like back to normal. They went to the market where supposedly the virus started. They closed
that whole market down. It's empty. That market is closed completely, permanently.
Well, on the news, there were people all around it. I don't know. There were like people. I don't know if they were inside the market actually, but there were people outside with stands and everything. I was like, so it makes you wonder. Like it's supposedly started there, and now the rest of the world we're battling it, and they're back to normal. It's like okay.
Okay, so then this is my question then, because I got like 5 or 6 more questions at least because of what you just said. All right, so first of all, don't you think that it's pretty fucking stupid for them to be back to normal, considering that's where the virus started from?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I brought it up because I'm like, really? Like no one. I didn't see any mask wearing. I don't know. Maybe some people still do, but I didn't see it in the piece. The segment, and they were out. Like I said, like all in the street crowds and people swimming at the. I mean, it was just like life was completely back to normal. And that's why I'm saying I don't know, there's something about that that's weird to me.
That don't make no sense. I mean, that does not make any sense at all. No matter how many marketing companies are going to make me want to go to Sandals to have a vacation, or go to the Bahamas, or go to Bimini, or go to Kokomo, or go to Las Vegas, or take a flight to the United Emirates. I really fucking don't care. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy a new car. I just want to pay the car off that I have. Like, seriously. And I don't want you to keep calling me about my car warranty. Joseph R. Biden and Kamala D. Harris, please help them stop calling me, because they call me and my partner and his mother on a regular basis, and I'm sick of hearing it. So can you please fix it? All right. So that's my second PSA for the day. But I mean, I'm trying to interject a little bit of humor because the topic is so serious. But I don't think that it's right that they just reopened everything, which is not dissimilar to what happened down here in Florida. Everything's reopened, and now they're talking about, and I'm going to get pissed and be really vocal and anti-Biden if they keep pushing this teacher thing forward. Like, his wife was a teacher, is a teacher, and she's a doctor, and they're talking about reopening the schools.
I think she has a doctorate. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, she has a doctorate is what I meant to say, but she has a doctorate. She's a teacher. So, but the fact is, how can you, if you can't stop the kids from getting shot and killed, like every year all across the entire United States, you can't stop the kids from getting raped and molested.
Yeah.
You can't stop the kids from getting food poisoning. You can't stop the kids from getting COVID or getting sick. Like, you got 3 strikes, you're out, bitch. Sorry. I don't care who you are. You got 3 strikes, you're already done. So then the 4th one is COVID. If you can't guarantee me that you can't do one of those things, then they need to revise that whole plan from 1846 that said that kids have to go to school. It was 1846 they came out with that rule. We talked about it 3 or 4 episodes ago. And it was to stop kids from being forced to work.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason why they came up with that. Because apparently back then, kids were like forced into servitude or something like that. Like, I don't know the whole story.
Yeah, the labor, that's that whole thing about labor laws for children and stuff, because back then they were using kids almost like slaves to work, and even in the factories in New York and stuff, there was a lot of that. Yeah.
That's crazy to me how that even happened. Yeah. I mean, but I'm not surprised because corporations put profits before people all the time. You know what I mean? That's like, that's what they think. That's all they care about is money, money, money. They don't care about people. Yeah. But if you can't take care of the first three things, so then what we're going to do? We're just going to go ahead, take a chance on the fifth one or the fourth one.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it's great that the teachers union all across the United States is starting to band together and tell them we're not going to just be ignored.
Oh, I know.
Did you see the lady on the news?
Yeah, I saw they're
What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, as a teacher, I would be concerned. I don't blame them. And if the online, I get it. They're saying that a lot of the kids are lacking. There's like something that's like lacking with online learning, and they're not fully, a lot of them are not comprehending and like really growing at the rate they should be growing. And so, like, mentally, I should say, or educationally. So I get that, but but on the flip side, this could be life and death with people getting sick. So I think I would say if I was a teacher, I probably would want to continue online learning at least for another year, at least until things got like I saw like things were getting like there was more of a handle on the virus than there is now.
No, that makes sense. I mean, the other part though is like people who set up this stuff a long time ago, and I want to finish off the conversation with like one of the most important parts of what I wanted to talk about at the end of the show, of it being the 400th anniversary of African Americans in the United States, and this is the entire month. But I want to back this up a little bit. It's a Pride Month for 400 years of slavery, basically, in the United States. This month, it's 400 years of oppression and a whole bunch of horrible things. We have to acknowledge it, because if we don't acknowledge it, we can't move past it.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault or my fault, but we have to acknowledge it. We have to accept responsibility for it, even though we didn't do it. And then we have to move past it and try to do the best that we can to do that together.
Yeah.
But with the schools specifically, I don't think that the current curriculum, is that the right word? The curriculum?
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it or the right programming or whatever the schedule is or whatever the bullshit is. I don't think that whatever was taught in schools was ever correct. Personally, I don't think it was ever correct. Like, I never learned about money. Did you?
Oh no. And I always say that. Of all things, you think that would be the thing that they would cover, especially in high school before you're getting out into the world. They would talk about like the importance of credit and money management instead of geometry and what's the other one? Algebra. I mean, God,
Right.
we don't even use. Well, I'd say the majority of people don't use that unless you're going to become a scientist or a doctor or something. I mean, come on. That would be more productive for a lot of people going out into the world to take some sort of finance, money management class. I've always said that. Yeah.
I mean that's my point. Like, I didn't want to climb up a rope that was 20 feet above me. Like, are you kidding me? Why do I need to climb up a rope that's 20 feet above me and rub my legs up against a fucking rope that's an inch thick and make my thighs raw? Wasn't there something else better for me to do?
I hated gym. I hated gym.
The only part of gym that I liked
was the locker room with all the cute boys I know.
Oh, yeah.
They were all accusing me of looking at their dicks, and I wasn't even doing that.
Oh, I was looking. I was looking.
To look.
I was looking back then, absolutely. I won't share the name of the guy, but he was, I don't know what it looks like now, but they were poking fun at me, and apparently I ate something bad, and I came down the locker room hallway and I vomited, and he slid down my vomit, puke.
Oh, oh my God. Oh,
I'm not kidding you.
That's a nightmare. Oh dear.
And the person that will listen to this eventually knows exactly who he is. I had a crush on him like crazy, and I never took a shower with the other boys. I never took a shower, but I would go off to the side, and I would just sit there for like a minute or two because they said you're supposed to take a shower for a little bit of time, and then I act like I took a shower, but I didn't take a shower. You know what I mean? I just didn't feel comfortable being naked with other people. Just that's just the way that I felt. But 4 of these boys all slid in my puke the whole way. They all know who they are. I won't say their names. But I'm just because you said about we were talking about the school stuff. I'm sorry. I need to probably stop. I need to probably stop talking because I may be sharing too much, but I'm sure I'm not the only person who ever had that happen.
I would have just been so embarrassed, especially if it was a guy I liked. I would have been like, oh, hell no. Oh no, I can't believe this is happening. Did they know it was your puke? Oh dear Lord, that's even worse. If they knew.
No, I don't think they did. I don't think they did.
Okay.
I don't think they did. But the point is like when we're in school, we don't learn the things that are really important. But then they force you to go to school because of some 1846 law that was passed so that you're not a slave or not going to work. But then I just saw a post about someone else's kid, 3 or 4 kids that are like 11, 12, 13, 14, that are like famous kids, I should say famous people's kids that are making X amount of money. Like, why is that okay?
Yeah. Well, with the
is that not considered slavery or child labor? If you have an 11-year-old who started a pizza joint,
wow.
Like, why is that okay?
Well, I think too. Well, what he started a pizza joint. He started his own business. There's like so many examples I can use. I just focus on the last one that I just saw, an 11-year-old kid. I think that the difference is back then to now, they would make these kids work in like horrific, deplorable conditions. So now because they can make their money safely from home and boss people around, it's okay, and then be on social media, it's cool. I think because they're safe. They're in a safe condition, like situation, as opposed to back then where they were like, dying and stuff. And some of them were made to go into like dangerous machines because they were small enough to get inside the machines to and all of that. So, it's you can't. I don't think you can really compare the two.
No, you can't. You can't. I can't. I was comparing the two, and clearly I hadn't thought about what you just said. I didn't think about that at all.
Well, I was. Back then, they had the big machines in the factory, and let's say something got jammed or whatever, they would send a little kid in the machine to like unjam it. But that shit would end up being lethal sometimes. They'd end up dying. So that's totally different than what's going on now. But I would say you still have to be careful because if a kid is online, they can be susceptible to like online predators and stuff. So you still gotta have some sort of structure and parental guidance, but it's different. It's different.
It is different, and you know what? It's 5:25, so I am done talking. I'm sorry for rambling for some people, and I'm sorry for losing my train of thought from time to time. But you at home, I want you to make certain to visit our website directly, www.mysouthernexposure.site. You can also go to our parent company, www.mysouthernexposure.site. I'm sorry, My Southern Exposure Media Group LLC.com. I'm going to have to rephrase that because I got to make certain that you get it. It's the first time I've actually said it. It's actually like the whole purpose of what I'm doing, what we're doing, I should say. There's going to be lots of information on there, lots of programming from every genre, every sexual preference. Doesn't make a difference if you're black or you're white or you're Asian or you're Caucasian or you're Hindu or you're Catholic, or it doesn't make no difference. I mean, I said Caucasian. I didn't realize that I would create that word, but go to www.mysouthernexposure Media Group LLC.com, and you can pull up a whole bunch of information there also as well. But first, go to mysouthernexposure.site and like, subscribe, and follow us. If you want to use your social media, go ahead and swipe to the right or swipe to the left. But please do not forget to go to Raji-Narayan-Singh.com, as well as WeGo LLC.com. WeGo! And if you want to get a hold of that beautiful Raven vixen back there sitting with her hands up in the air, waving around like this, she just don't care. That's Raji at My Southern Exposure site. If you want to get a hold of my uptight, fat Puerto Rican butt, that's Joseph at My Southern Exposure site. So I just want to say thank you very much to everyone who's watching the show. And I am done talking, and I'm pretty certain that my partner is sick of hearing my voice for the last 2 hours and seeing all these bright lights. So I'm going to leave it up to Raji to finish it off.
Well, I want to thank everyone for watching again. We had a really juicy show, a lot of great topics, and I want to wish everyone a fabulous week. Take time out to do something kind, even if it's just smiling at someone, saying hello. Old people too. Don't forget the old people. Don't forget our seniors. And on that note, I want to wish everyone love, happiness, peace, good health, prosperity, and many wonderful blessings. Namaste.
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 Thank you so much, Raji.
Sure.
I gotta hit the button. I never remember where the button is to stop. I never do. I have no idea
Let me
what's wrong with me.
wave like a Hollywood star. Here we go.
I never know. Oh, there it is, the end button. I can never figure it out. Thank you so much at home for paying attention to my craziness. I should say our craziness. Bye.